So for a more functioning example, let's suppose you rent a room for $600 per month that has a $1,000 deposit and $4,600 in savings, where you want to figure out how long you could pay rent on savings alone, assuming you cannot save any more money. I guess that sort of assumes you're unemployed. And it's a little bit unrealistic for a couple reasons. For one, if you don't have a job, you're probably not going to get approved for a rental unless you have like the best credit ever. And if you're looking at getting a place for $600, you probably don't have the best credit ever. And then for that matter, I wrote this example a couple of years ago when a $600 rent might not have seemed so ridiculous, but you know what? We're going to live in a little fantasy world where this might work out for you, at least for a little while. Anyway, here, what we want to do is understand what this problem says, so let's actually pull out some of that information and just think of it in terms of the numbers. This is a math class after all. We like focusing on numbers. So, let's note here that the deposit, which no matter how long you're going to stay in that place you're renting, you will pay the deposit. Presumably you'll get it back, but that doesn't always happen, almost never happens fully anymore, but up front, which is what's really important here, is that you'll have to pay $1,000. Whether you're staying there for 1 month or 10 years, I don't know what sort of places would let you keep a lease for 10 years, but if you did, you're still paying that $1,000. That's just going in there no matter what. And then from there, the rent that you're working with in this case is going to be $600 per month. And rent is usually month to month. And if you got a place that was week to week or day to day, you're probably staying more at a hotel. And if you got a place where you paid rent per year, I've never heard of that. That'd be kind of convenient, I guess. You probably pay a lot, but this is usually how rent works. And then the last big thing you have is your savings. Where I guess this might also be a little bit unrealistic depending on who it is that's watching this when, but I don't think having $3,600 in savings is, oh, that should be $4,600. I'll have to check that little typo there. That's not too bad. It's not too unrealistic, I hope. Anyway, this is what we have here in terms of understanding the problem, where we want to figure out basically how much these things can fit into that thing. Where, in this case, because we are paying that deposit no matter what, like I said, you can stay however long you want, you still have to pay the deposit initially, we can start by taking that $4,600, that total in savings, and just knocking off the $1,000 for the deposit to leave $3,600. Because meaningfully, if you're paying a $1,000 deposit, you have $3,600 in savings. Deposits are basically non-negotiable. And then from there, what we need to do is recognize how many months fit into this $3,600. So essentially what you're going to do here is just take this $3,600 and divide it out by the $600 per month. And then with a little bit of unit conversion in here, 3,600 over 600 kills the dollars, and we are left with 6 per 1 over per months, or months, not months, months. Where this is to say that if you don't make any more money, you would expect to be able to hold that apartment for 6 months. And if you want to be sure, you want to be sure that this works, you essentially just carry all these things out in reverse. You take this 6 months, multiply it by 600 per month, you get $3,600. Then you take the $3,600, add to that 1,000, you get your total in savings again. So you know that in this case, that answer is correct. I'll leave it to you to actually write that out, but that's the idea. It's pretty straightforward once you understand what it is you're doing. In this case, there wasn't really a plan that we had to execute here, any special process that needed to be done to get our answer. It was just a matter of recognizing what things had to be paid. That you pay the deposit before you pay rent, although usually people require like the first and last month's rent the first time, whatever. But that 1,000 gets paid regardless of what the rent is, and then the rent is just taken out of whatever's left over. So that's our value here. And with that, let's take another example that maybe has a bit more of a process to it.